Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
First deep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred out. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Warning Rex, good setters. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. Better chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're go better. We're hoop heads, trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Gardi3, and welcome to the And One Podcast. Of course, just like every Thursday, I am joined by the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
Doing great. NBA playoffs. We already got a taste of it with some of the play-in games. I'm excited.
No, absolutely, Mo. And before we get to the play-in games, you know how it is. We got to start out with our underrated player of the week. So if anybody's new that's joining in, every week Mo and I like to shout out some players who we think are underappreciated for what they do. Could be present, past, could be a coach, executive, international player, college player, doesn't matter. So, Mo, who do you got this week?
Because we are entering the playoffs, and we're really going to talk mostly about the playoffs with that theme, that being the theme. My underrated player is actually an underrated playoff performance. 2001, I believe, Western Conference Finals, the Lakers sweep the Spurs 4-0. Obviously, in that series, Kobe Bryant averages 33.7 rebounds, 7 assists. But the underrated series, the underrated player in that series is Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher in that series averages 17 points a game, shoots 61% from the field, 75% from three. Derek Fisher was lights out. He made every big shot in that series. So shout out to D Fish, underrated playoff performance.
You said 2001. I'm like, please don't say Eastern Conference Finals. Go to the West.
No.
No, but absolutely. Gotta love D Fish. Absolutely terrific clutch shot maker. Also just a very big guard. Like, he could bang with some of the bigger dudes, some wings. Like, he was just really built for a guard.
Yeah, D Fish had that body where if you looked at him, like he kind of looked like an NFL DB, right? You know what I mean? Like he had that physical presence about him. He's not as big as, say, a Desmond Bain, but very physical. I agree.
I'll say my underrated player of the week, Mo, I was saying the same idea. I was going to go somebody that's currently in the playoffs. And I'm going to go with the Denver Nuggets. I'm going to go with Peyton Watson. Absolutely terrific all-around year he's having. He's having a career year. 41% from three. He's almost at 15 a game and 5 rebounds. Mo, I don't think the Nuggets could have asked for anything more that they've gotten out of Peyton Watson. And he picked the right time to do it. free agent after the year, so they're going to have to make a choice. They might have to figure out a way to offload Braun to keep Peyton around. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off. But underrated player of the week for me, Denver Nuggets, Peyton Watson.
Love the Peyton Watson pick. I know Nuggets Nation, the Nuggets front office are through the roof over his breakout season this year. He's long, so he's an active and versatile defender, but offensively, with his length, he has the ability to get to the rim. He's getting better in terms of his shooting from the perimeter consistency. I like where his career is going, and it looks like he's the kind of guy, the more playing time he gets, Brett, the better he plays. You mentioned it. Christian Braun has been a big part of the Nuggets franchise the last few years, but I would argue that Peyton having the season that he's had, I think they're going to have a tough decision to make because, ultimately when it comes down to money, you can't pay everybody top dollar. Can they keep Christian Braun and Peyton Watson, or do they have to move off from Christian Braun? I mean, you brought up a really good question that they're going to have to deal with this offseason.
By the way, little known fact, because of the James Harden trade, we're doing the same thing again next year. The Thunder also have the Clippers first for next year, so the Thunder have a chance to get one more lottery pick from the Clippers before all of their obligations are done. But, hey, Mo, the Paul George trade is technically done.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny you said that because all the more reason that at some point you just have to turn the page on the Kawhi Leonard era. And it's okay. This isn't me taking a shot at Kawhi. Like, injuries happen. It is what it is. The injury gods haven't been his best friends. And the Clippers, they just never fulfilled the promise that a lot of people thought they had. And that's okay. But at some point as a franchise, you have to recognize this thing. We've rode this thing literally till the wheels have fallen off. A good example, Brett. You would agree, I'm assuming, that the Clippers were favored to beat the Warriors the other night, right?
Yeah, I even picked the Clippers.
Right. I did not pick the Clippers. I did not pick the Clippers because I felt like the Clippers have shown me more times than not they will find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So I picked Golden State, even though I know Golden State doesn't have a lot of firepower. Steph's on a minute count. I laughed when they said he was on a minute count because I was like, he's on a minute count. He's not on a shot count. So if Steph plays 25 minutes, you don't think he can squeeze out 18, 20 shots, which he ended up doing. My point is, I feel like this loss, if anything, should tell Steve Ballmer it's time to move on.
I guess the question is, because you don't have your first next year, it's a swap. Do you try to keep Kawhi for one more year and then trade him after next year since you don't have your first anyway? Or you just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and just – because I don't think his value gets any higher than it is this year. I think this is the best value you're ever going to get if you're the Clippers for Kawhi Leonard. Do you take advantage of absolute top-tier value? Or do you keep him around for one more year since, hey, might as well sell some tickets. We don't have our picks anyway.
Right. And so to me, the smart money would be move him this offseason because, like you said, this is like his best all-around season in a lot of ways. I'm talking about from not just from the scoring, but the efficiency and the numbers games played. Like, if people had questions about Kawhi Leonard, this season is one of those seasons where maybe a franchise is looking and going, man, if we could bring Kawhi in here as our number 2 or something like that, you know what I mean? He could be the missing piece. And I do think Kawhi Leonard could extend his career longer if he took a lesser role. And I'm not saying something like a role player, but I'm just saying if you're not the man, but you're the man next to the man, I think that's a way to extend his career. If I'm the Clippers, I think you have to rip the Band-Aid off and move Kawhi, get whatever assets you can get from him. And look, you still have Darius Garland, who's, I believe he's 25, 26. You still have Benjamin and Mathurin. I think Mathurin's 24, 25. Those two guys are bucket getters. So if you can pair them with whatever you get from Kawhi, I think you can have a solid enough nucleus to build off of.
How they treated CP3, I can't stand them even more. They kicked him out. Yeah, oh, yeah, something went down with them and CP3. Hey,
but the thing with CP3 though, that's deeper because that wasn't about him and players. Like a lot of the reports said that he and Ty Lue didn't get along. Like if you can't get along with the head coach to the point where the head coach is like, I'm not even playing this dude. I don't know if you can say that's bad on the organization or if that's just more about the relationship that he and Ty Lue never had.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Mo, before we get into the before we get into the play, we got some fun WNBA news. The WNBA draft just happened, so congratulations to all the ladies that just got drafted.
Congrats.
I do want to kind of focus on something that's stupid that's happening before we get to the fun stuff, though. Because I swear, I'm obviously going to be tapped into the W this year, and I swear, if every time I have to watch a press conference for the Wings, and they're just asking Ozzy, so how's your relationship with Paige? Bruh, can we just keep those conversations to hoop? Here's my problem with what's the discourse around Ozzy right now. There's a lot of people kind of throwing out this idea that she pretty much only got drafted because she's dating Paige. And that is the most factually incorrect thing that I've heard in a minute.
I heard that too.
Before all this started, guess what? She was already slated. She's already a top 3 prospect in the draft with a very strong case to go number 1.
Oh yeah, easily.
So it's one of those things where it was absolutely stupid to me that all of a sudden the convo, because she just happened to go to Dallas. It's like, oh, she just went there because Paige, and they're like, no, she was just legit, arguably the best prospect in the draft. That's why she went there.
100% factual. She went there because she's that damn good, and they had that pick. And I don't know about you, but if I'm a GM and I can bring in a former teammate that Paige has got chemistry with, that they've played with, like, and you think they're both future stars, like that court is nice. Am I wrong? Am I missing something? Like I don't understand how people say these stupid rumors and they don't just look at the player's ability, what they've done, and what they potentially can do going forward. I'm only going to judge you on what kind of player you are. And I thought it was the perfect pick by Dallas.
No, I completely agree. And it's perfect too. I believe Enrique did re-sign with them, but I believe it was only like a 1-year contract. Say I could be wrong, but if I'm remembering correctly, you can have Ozzy learn behind Enrique for a year, and then next year if Enrique decides to leave for greener pastures, she got to learn from one of the best shot creators in the W. So I think it's an absolute win-win.
Agreed.
Jason Whitlock started it. Why wouldn't Jason Whitlock start it? And and of course, Mo, the other draft pick I want to touch on real quick. The Minnesota Lynx. They got the Chicago Skies pick, which happened to be at number 2, and they added Olivia Miles, almost at 20 a game and 6 assists last year. So, Mo, how excited are you to see Olivia Miles in Minnesota?
Look, Olivia Miles is one of my favorite players to watch. I'm so excited to see her. I think Minnesota's fan base is going to fall in love with her. She's such a terrific player. Not just that she's underrated as a scorer, but her ability to create for teammates. They're going to love her. If you're a teammate of Olivia Miles and you're fundamentally sound and you know how to move without the ball, you're going to love her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think, obviously, she can learn behind somebody who I really loved last year. I actually used her for an underrated player of the week last year in Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams. So, let her kind of sit for a year. You can slowly break her into the rotation. And I think that's absolutely a terrific landing spot for her. And I think that's going to be a great fit. And the one thing I'm also kind of curious about, though, Mo, why are there 3 rounds in the WNBA draft? And the only reason I ask that is because just in so many cases we see first round picks getting cut from the WNBA draft. So I'm like keeping a track of it, and I'm like, why do we even have a 3rd round if first round picks can't even stay on the roster? Like, don't get me wrong, I do want more ladies to get drafted. I want everybody to be drafted. But at the same time, if we can't keep first round picks on the roster, why is there a 3rd round?
That's a fair point. And that's crazy to think the first round picks struggle to stay on rosters in the W. Like, I feel like in a lot of ways, the W is more cutthroat than the NBA.
No, absolutely. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the season. I was shocked to see the other thing I found funny, Mo, too, is I was shocked to see the Chicago Sky trade another first round pick to the Washington Mystics. Now, what in the world was that?
I don't pretend to even try to get into the minds of the Chicago Sky's management. I don't understand what they're thinking of, because I feel like they did everything you do when you're trying to tank. I do. I feel like let's throw away a prominent player with a lot of potential and upside. Just give her away. I don't understand what they're doing. If you're telling me that they've got an ultimate plan that I'm missing, I'm gonna have to take them at face value. But I think every move they've made this offseason is beyond questionable.
Yeah, and the first rounder went for J.C. Sheldon. No, I believe she's on her 4th team in like 2 or 3 years. It's just interesting to me that happened, because I was watching that. It's like, dude, why do you keep trading away all these firsts? I don't get it. It's not like you're close to competing, so you're like, send out the first.
That's the crazy part.
Like, no, you're not even close. It feels like this is just some like draft pick laundering scheme at this point. Just every offseason, Washington shows up like, oh, hey, Chicago, about your first round pick. So we'll see who they trade from Washington for their 2029 first next year.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and of course, Mo, we had a lot of say before we get into the playing games, though. Yeah, don't worry, we're getting here, Mo. I mean, Carmike, Luka and Cade both got a pass for the 65 game rule, but yet Anthony Edwards did not. Now, that I guess I feel like we're gonna need to. I think we're gonna end up needing to like revamp the 65 game like rule, or like just the definition, because I'm lost as to why. Well, as to why. And the definition that they gave, by the way, Mo, get this. They said a league source told The Athletic that Cunningham's injury was considered a condition as opposed to a basketball injury. So that's why he got it and then Ant didn't. And that threw me off, because I'm like, he got it playing basketball. That I can go back and look that injury up. That was very much a basketball injury. So I think they're going to end up needing to revamp the 65 game rule like we discussed last week. But now I feel like we're going to have to go even further and like really get down to the nitty gritty language. Like, what is a basketball injury and what is a non-basketball injury? Because like, I feel like if you get injured during a basketball game, it's a basketball injury. So look, to be clear, I want Cade to win his awards. I want Cade to be eligible for all the awards.
Agreed.
But we can't just pick one and say, yeah, basketball injury, and then go, no, and not, and yours was a basketball injury, his wasn't. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. So I think we're going to have to revisit that eventually and figure out what quantifies basketball injury.
Look, I agree. I think that if you take what the NBA's tried to do with the 65 game threshold, I love the fact that they were open to looking at things on a case-by-case basis, like they did with Luka, like they did with Cade. That seems so black and white and just makes sense. but then they've confused us again because they didn't give Ant the same leeway as if he's different. So you're going to have to explain to me, like, what's a basketball injury or what do you consider a legitimate injury? Because I don't think Ant got hurt on purpose. And I don't think he got hurt sitting around at the crib. If he got injured, it probably was playing basketball. So I do agree with you. Look, if you're going to keep the 65 game threshold, you've got to do a better job of supporting the players. Anthony Edwards played what he played 55, 56 games or something like that. Like
61.
60. I'm wrong. 61 games. That means he's 4 short of 65, and you can't give him the same support that you gave Cade, that you gave Luka. I don't think that's right.
It's this, yeah. Why are almost all Chicago teams ran poorly? Yeah. At least they got the Blackhawks, I guess. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And just for fun, Mo, I slightly revamped my All NBA teams and added Luka and Cade.
Like that.
So I figure I might as well show those off real quick and can let me know if you agree or disagree with these guys. So Kawhi and JB got bumped to the second team for Luka and Cade.
And I love the season that JB's had. It's a terrific season. It's a career season for him. But that season, I don't think he's having a better season than anybody that you have on that list. I don't feel that Kawhi, as terrific as Kawhi has been, the Clippers were. Let's keep it a buck. Kawhi was terrific, but it was just good enough to get the Clippers into the play-in, and then they didn't even win the play-in. So I think Kawhi, rightfully so, will be second team All NBA. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're still All NBA.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I got JB and Kawhi here, adding to Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, and Tyrese Maxey. I feel like he went under the radar, but with all the injuries to PG, Embiid, and the fact they are where they are, he's been playing so many minutes. He's been so good in them too. Oh, man, I think Tyrese Maxey deserves to be on the second team, but honestly, as long as he makes a team, I'll be happy. Because if he doesn't, massive injustice.
He's definitely deserving, in my opinion, to be second team All NBA. Everybody you have up here, like on your first and second teams, we're in the same wavelength. I wouldn't change anything you have up here. I think all of these guys are worthy, and I'd be shocked if this doesn't turn out to be, in fact, the All NBA team.
And of course, the third teams are always the hardest to me. Fortunately, I had to bump some guys, but yeah, Durant, Brunson, Chet, Scotty Barnes, and then for that last spot, it came down to Bam or Jalen Duren. I kept Jalen Duren in there, but if you want to make the argument for Bam, I'll listen.
You know, it's funny. Bam had a solid year. But I don't think he had a better year than Jalen Duren. And look, I think you should reward a guy for being productive in the individual year they had. But look, Jalen Duren's a big part of why Detroit had the number 1 seed. I think you can reward winning too to go along with what he did as an individual talent. I definitely would take him over Bam. I don't think Bam. My guess is though, I would take Jalen Duren, and you would take Jalen Duren. But if I'm guessing, my gut feeling is Bam is going to be on the third All NBA team. That doesn't mean Jalen Duren won't make it, but I think Bam's going to be on there.
It's going to hit the whole argument. It's just going to be an article saying, "Did you know Bam Adebayo scored 83 points against the Washington Wizards?"
100%. And every time we have this conversation, somebody's going to go, "You think Jalen Duren can score 83 points?" Like, I don't, but Bam, even with the 83 points, I believe for the season, what did Bam average? 18 points a game?
You know what's funny?
And it's not a knock. I'm just saying.
Hey, put Duren against how bad that Washington defense was, he might score 83. He might score 90.
I mean, look, if Bickerstaff had a game to throw away, and he told Jalen Duren, "I want you to take no less than 30 shots this game." You might be right. You might be right.
The same Wizards that made Patrick Williams look like MJ. Yeah, honestly, that was even more damning than 83. Like, I would expect Bam to score 83 before I expect Rob Dillingham and Patrick Williams to combine for 46.
Facts.
You know what's going to be funny, Mo? You know it's going to happen next year. We're going to be like, we're going to get to the beginning of the season. Oh, who's your dark horse to compete for the playoffs? And I feel like that's going to be the Wizards. I feel like so many people are going to pick the Wizards, and the potential, I guess, is there, but they need to add a lot more defenders on that team because just adding Anthony Davis is not saving this defense.
I agree. I think they're going to be the new sexy pick, if you will. I'm not going to pick them. I think that if they go into it with the roster they have, and they don't tweak it, and like you said, add some more defenders. AD by himself, especially an older AD who's probably going to play at best 62, maybe 65 games. No, he's going to need a lot more help. So I will not overrate the Wizards. I'll just say that I can see the potential because if you have a healthy Trae Young and a healthy Anthony Davis, it can be interesting. But basketball rarely plays out on paper the way it does in real life. So we'll see.
I got a kick out of him going, I got to talk to Wizards management, see what the plan is. And I heard him say that, thought about him like, dude, you are the plan. What are you talking about?
The plan. Right.
What? Yeah, you're the guy that gave up the most assets. For granted, that was a ton of assets, a lot of good assets. But brother, the plan is you and Trae Young.
Right.
That is Trae there? No way. Send AD back. Are the Wizards going to leap the Hornets and Hawks? Nope.
I'm going to say no.
Oh, we had some fun playing games yesterday, Mo. There was a nasty storm right outside my work. We start hearing some noise outside the window, and, the workers go, hey, is that hail? I look out the window and go, nah, Paulo Banchero's just shooting jumpers again.
Oh, my God.
Because what was that? Paulo, not just Paulo, Jalen Suggs, buddy, what was that? I just was watching that game dumbfounded because I can't figure out if anybody on that team half the time has shot IQ outside of Franz. It feels like when they're get the ball and start facing up, the only thing that's going through their mind is a monkey banging two cymbals together. Nobody's home. So that was honestly as much as I gassed up the Magic. I got to do this. That was truly an embarrassing effort by them. There's no way that should have happened.
It shouldn't have happened, but I didn't pick them because of the season they had. So, like I said, the outcome wasn't shocking to me. I picked them to lose because I don't have faith. No, let me reframe that. I was just disappointed in the season that they had. When you bring in a player like Desmond Bane, who, by the way, you can tell me that Franz and Paolo are more talented, but their most consistent player this season was Desmond Bane. Even in the game last night, I thought he took one bad shot, but I thought Desmond Bane was their best player then too. And had Paolo shot as well as Desmond Bane had, who knows? I think you look at the Magic, and you have to make some decisions about the roster construction and how you want to build out the rest of that roster. And you have to make some tough choices with a guy that I think both of us like. And I'm talking about Jalen Suggs, but I think Jalen Suggs would be a star rotation player. But I don't think he's a starting point guard. I just don't. I think he's closer to being more Marcus Smart-like. In a lot of ways, he is Marcus Smart in terms of his shooting ability. But if he were coming off your bench playing 25 minutes a night, I think he would give you more value. I think the Magic are a team that The roster construction is flawed, but more importantly, because we don't talk about this a lot, I think they have to do something that's needed. I think they have to make a coaching change.
I think so too. Because there's definitely talent there. Like there's a lot of like Bane's a good playmaker. Franz is a willing passer. Like I'm sure you can get Paulo to buy into being a passer. Like I feel like you can get a system there that just gets a lot more ball and player movement. Because this whole just give it to somebody and have a ISO just doesn't work. So I think, barring a miracle NBA Finals run, I think Jamal Mosley's just gone.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
willing to bet money that miracle NBA Finals run is not coming.
I can safely say it is not. It is not coming. That doesn't mean I'm giving up on the Magic. I like I said, I think that they don't really have an identity, and your two best players, your bookend forwards, they don't necessarily feed off each other. Like some tandems, there's a chemistry there, but they can feed off each other. The easiest one to bring up, obviously, is Tatum and Brown, because they know each other. They've got years under the belt with each other, and they know how to feed off of each other. Paolo and Franz do not feed off of each other. And it's okay that their games are different, but it's really weird that one, and I'm talking about Franz, is constantly aggressive in an attack mode versus Paolo, who could be aggressive in attack and get to the foul line 10 or 12 times a game. Paolo would rather settle and take contested jump shots, and I don't understand that.
It almost feels like Paolo just doesn't have like tight enough handle or good enough footwork to dribble in traffic. And I feel like the first person that knows that is Paolo Banchero. Because anytime he starts seeing a crowd, that's when he's, instead of, trying to draw some contact, that's when he's just going to settle for a fadeaway. So I feel like the first thing that, Paulo's got to do is he looks a less explosive from last year. I don't know if that's the core injury, but also I know he put on like 10 pounds of muscle, and that kind of might be backfiring. So maybe I would try to get into a closer body shape than he was like last year, as opposed to this year. So because I don't know, it just feels like I get the idea, but it feels like that extra muscle is now kind of backfiring because everything just seems out of whack for him.
The crazy part is he's already a really big, strong dude. Like Paolo's not like a normal small forward. He's almost like a power forward. He's at least 245, 50 pounds. He's huge. Why would he need to put 10? Like you can get stronger without gaining more weight. He didn't need to gain more weight.
So, by the way, speaking of Jamal Mosley, Mo, this report came out about the Pelicans head coaching candidates, like head coaching search. Listen to this murder row of candidates. We got James Borrego, Darvin Ham, Kevin Ollie, and Jamal Mosley, with Jamal Mosley being near the top of the list of the Pelicans coaching search.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how you watch what's going on in Orlando and go, that's him. That's our guy. Like, huh?
You know the crazy thing is, I feel like if you're the Pelicans and you bring in Jamal Murray or Mosley to be your new head coach, to me you got rid of Willie Green to bring in another Willie Green. Like, you know what I mean? Like their coaching style is very similar. I always rooted for Willie Green, but I also knew that he wasn't one of those coaches that made a lot of adjustments on the fly or in game. Like he's not that kind of coach. He's more of a motivator per se. And I think Jamal Mosley's the same way, because when you watch Orlando play, they don't play with any structure. It looks a lot like street ball.
So Paulo does sometimes forget he's 6'10". Just hire Bella at that point. Honestly, it's probably the best option out of the coaching candidates named. By the way, just kidding. Hey, thank you, okay. Thank you, Kerem. James Borrego would easily be the best coaching candidate for
I agree.
That lock for them, despite the Pelicans. Yeah. But it just feels like the Pelicans are destined to tread water until they move on from Joe Dumars. So
Oh my God! But the crazy part is, didn't they just hire Joe? Like Joe's been there like what
Yep.
a year? Like, and because here's the thing, because they hired Joe Dumars. Now, if you're a Zion fan, then you're going to be happy because the type of president or GM that Joe Dumars is, he's not going to move a star. He won't. He will not. Because he will always go, stars put fans in the seats, which is true. But the Pelicans fans are long suffering. They've been getting the brakes beat off of them from years. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zion, this is year 5 or 6. What is this?
I
5?
think it's closer to 6.
Right. We're 6 years into this experiment. Joe Dumars, you got to be smarter than that. This dude, this isn't about whether he has talent. We know he has talent. This is about, is he a franchise player? Which in the answer is so obvious. No, hell no. Zion's not a franchise player.
That's right. 2019 to 2026. Yeah, we're closer to year 8. Yeah.
That's insane, Jory. That's insane. How do you not move on from this guy?
Yeah, and it's funny. The first thing Dumars it does is just kind of screw up by trading that first round pick for this year to the Hawks. And like, look, Derek Queen could be a very good player. I'm not saying Derek Queen won't be a very good player, but I keep hearing you guys, the Pelicans say, well, we don't want to move Zion. How good do you think a Zion Derek Queen duo is? Just, it's limited to me. Because neither of them can play center. Like none of them, you'll just get out rebounded every single time with trying that. So you need to put a rim protector, in the middle, but then you're playing with essentially 3 non-shooters, unless you're gonna find a floor spacing rebounding rim protector, which good luck. There's not very many of those around.
Well, San Antonio's got one, but they're not giving that guy up.
Wemby for Jordan Poole, go.
Right. I look, and that's another problem. Look at their roster construction. Never mind. I get it. You're not going to get rid of Zion, but like you said, I think Queen's a good player. I think Fears is going to be a good player. But we're talking about at the highest level. Are Queen and Fears going to be stars or superstars? I don't think so. I think they'll be very, very good, and maybe one of them will be all-star caliber like. But a front court of Queen and Zion, how does that? Never mind what you're going to struggle with offensively. Defensively, the other team's going to be able to get whatever they want. They're both poor defenders. They're both not. They're good rebounders, but they're not dominant rebounders. I think for his career, Zion averages 6 rebounds a game, if that. He's too much of a tweener and not enough of a shooter to make him a small forward, but he's not enough of a presence to make him a power forward. And Queen is incredibly skilled. He's actually much more skilled than Zion, but he's not the athlete that Zion is. Queen has no explosion in his game at all. I look at the Pelicans and I'm like, what is the plan, guys? What is the plan? The plan forward should be Joe Dumars. You trade Zion, you take the assets you get from Zion, and you put you can put together a nice roster with Queen, Fears. You're not going to move Trey Murphy, which a lot of teams hope you would, but Trey Murphy's dope.
A lineup with rim protector, Zion, Derek Queen, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy. That just sounds. There's one floor spacer in there, and that's Trey Murphy. And Trey Murphy isn't like an MPJ kind of shooter where you can just elevate over people very often. So he doesn't do it that often. So overall, I do think that they have to make a choice. Hey, do we want to pick Zion or Derek Queen? And since you just traded a first for Derek Queen and you're 8 of Zion, to me in my head, I'm like, yeah, just trade Zion, get what you can, and try to build your next iteration of the Pelicans around Fears and Queen, I guess, because that's kind of what you committed to last offseason.
I think that's what they have to do. You have to trade Zion, and make your next iteration of the Pelicans built around Fears and Queen. I mean, I'd say you could build around Murphy, but Murphy's kind of in a similar boat as Zion. Trey Murphy's incredibly talented, but we forget he's in year 6 or something like that, and he struggles to stay healthy. Like, I don't think you can build a team around 2 injury-prone players. I think most people could agree on that. And Trey Murphy and Zion are incredibly injury-prone. I feel like the Pelicans are in flux because knowing Joe Dumars, he's going to stand pat and he's going to double down on Zion and Trey Murphy and just say, when we get healthy with Trey Murphy and Zion, and don't forget Herb Jones is there. Like they're going to convince themselves that they're a playoff contender.
There we go. Why don't we start? Let's say, fair. Mo, how confident are you in the series versus Houston?
So let me be honest, because you and I probably disagree on this, because I think I heard you guys earlier on the ball. I think most of you guys picked, I believe you picked the Lakers to win the series. And I think they could. Even shorthanded, I think they could win the series. But that's because the Rockets are not good. You know what I mean? It's less about the Lakers and more about what the Rockets aren't. Like on paper, the Rockets should win the series. I don't even think there's a question. Like the Lakers don't have anybody that can really guard Şengün. Now you can run a second player at Durant, which is what they did the last couple of times they played the Rockets, and it's like Houston was totally confused. They didn't know how to pass out of that. My guess is if JJ Redick is the guy that I think he is, yes, the Lakers are gonna run a second defender out of Durant. They're not gonna let him get in any kind of rhythm. And which by the way, why wouldn't you do that? Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd. If you guys can beat me, I'll take my chances. I think that's how the Lakers make it a series. Most people think no Luka, no Reed, Houston in 4. I think the series goes 6, but I still think Houston wins. They should win. If Houston loses this series, look, I'm going to stand by what I said. If Houston loses this series, this is Kevin Durant's first and last year in Houston. He could be his first and last year in Houston. I really believe that. He can't. The Lakers should be able to make this a series because I don't think the Rockets are a buzzsaw. But the Rockets should not lose this series because they could literally employ the same strategy. No Reeves, no Luka. We're running a second man at LeBron the whole series, and we're going to dare Rui and Marcus Smart and DeAndre Ayton and all those kind of dudes to beat us. I think it's a pick'em series, but even though I'm a Laker fan, I think Houston should win. So I think Houston wins the series.
I think my concern is I just don't trust the shooting of Houston. Like, I mean, we know about Amen Thompson, obviously, but it's Reed Shepherd's first playoff appearance. We know how rookies tend to get when the playoffs hit. Tari Eason couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat recently. Like, Jabari Smith has always been wildly inconsistent. Like, I don't know. I think it's just I don't trust the role players to knock down timely shots when they need to. So,
I completely understand, partner, your reasoning why you're picking the Lakers. I think Ian picked the Lakers. I don't know if Kyle did too. I think he did. I think it's the trifecta. By the way, I don't disagree with any of your reasoning. I don't. I'm kind of where Jory is. I'm just saying, I think you're right for not trusting Houston's role players. But everything you just said, by the way, I can regurgitate about the Lakers role players. Everything you said, I can say the exact same thing about the Lakers role players. And I've heard people say, well, if LeBron is able to pull this off, beat the Rockets, this will elevate him some kind of way. And I'm like, no, it won't. Because even though while I think the Rockets should win, I don't think they should win because they're a great team. I just think about this, Brett. If Luka and Reeves weren't hurt and the Lakers were whole, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. I said I'd love to meet Houston in the playoffs because if we're fully whole, that's a short series. So I don't understand, like, if we're fully healthy, and everybody knows we would beat them, why would it stun you that even without those two guys and everything going against them, the Lakers have a chance because Houston's not any good. Like even if Houston were to win that series, let's say Houston beats the Lakers, they would be beating the Lakers just so they can go to the second round and get swept.
No, that's fair. My conspiracy theory: LeBron cursed us by being ridiculous towards Memphis.
That's a good one. Yeah, I don't know why did he choose to go there, and he had to throw down his gauntlet about Memphis. Everything it was a lot, and it was unnecessary. Am I rooting for my Lakers to win? Of course, I'm rooting for them to win. But the same flaws that Houston has, the Lakers have. So I think that's why it's a pick 'em. Here's the thing: this is a talent-ridden league. On talent, for sure, Houston should win because Şengün's probably one of the 3-4 best centers in basketball, especially when he's focused. When he's not playing with the ball, he gets in the post and he just attacks. That's a tough cover.
Watching the show, please tell this guy OKC 0 shot against OK. Oh, Warriors against OKC. Yeah, they really wouldn't. The problem with Warriors against OKC is obviously we know the head of the snake on the Warriors offense is Steph. The problem doing that against the Thunder is they got like 3 or 4 different guys that can keep switching out and wearing Steph down. So
more than that,
the Warriors upset would literally come down to can Hodge, Horford, Porzingis, can all those guys just keep knocking down big shot after big shot? And in all reality, they hadn't shown that they can do that consistently. Obviously, they did enough to beat the Clippers, but at the same time, over the course of
it's the Clippers.
Well, right, and yeah, absolutely, and the difference too is the Clippers made a bad decision in keeping Brook Lopez in the game because he can't recover to these 3-point shooters. While the Thunder have the entire roster, maybe except iHeart, can recover to every 3-point shooter. So
right,
it's an absolute nightmare matchup for the Warriors.
It's a terrible matchup. Period. Let me go this way with it. What if Steph averages 32 for the series? Steph can average 32 for the series, and they would still get swept. You know what I'm saying? Steph can still get off. You know who's not getting off? Al Horford's not getting off. Podge is not getting off. Porzingis is not getting off. This is going to be a sweep. No. Golden State has less than 0 chance of beating OKC. And
I feel the same way. If Phoenix wins. They have even less of a chance.
Less than chance because they don't have I love Book.
You don't have Steph.
There you go. Thank you, partner. I love Book, but they don't have Steph. If Steph can't get a game, Book ain't getting a game either.
I did pick it. I did say that if the Warriors win, Thunder win in 5. I think Steph will have that one nuts game that he randomly does where he'll go for 50, and they'll take a game 3. I just think if it's the Suns, yeah, just wrap it up. That thing's over in 4.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I'm gonna give the Thunder credit for. Even when they have games where they don't play well, and that's usually on offense, they're able to compensate for what they don't do offense with their defense. I think their defense will always be there, and that's what makes them a tough out. They can have a bad shooting night, but they can shut you down and make you have a bad shooting night. Look, Golden State's not a good matchup for the Thunder. The Phoenix Suns are not a good match. There's a reason why you're the 8th seed. You play the defending champs, and they're fully healthy. You're going to get swept. Now, like you said, Steph is the one guy between the two teams that he can have one of those bananas games and win you a game. But to say it's going to be a series, I don't think so.
No, absolutely. And they got a guy. Thunder got a guy who I could have picked for underrated player of the week, who's probably making an all-defensive team in Case and Wallace. So I'm sure that you'll see a lot of Case and Wallace on Steph if we do indeed draw Thunder Warriors.
You know, it'd be interesting. They could go Case and Wallace. They can go Caruso. They can go J-Dub. They have so many versatile wing defenders Look, even Shea's a good defender when needed. I think that as a basketball fan, who would I rather see, Golden State or Phoenix? I would rather see Golden State because of what you said. Steph gives you the wow factor because you go, they can't win the series, but do I think Steph can do something amazing? Yeah, Steph is the guy that can go like, well, Steph just hit 15 threes. And you know what I mean? Like Steph can do something like that. I love Book, but that Book can't do what Steph does.
Hey, you know what? They got Jalen Green.
You know what? Even though they lost the other night,
He was good.
actually played really well. And I was telling some trolls, and they were like, he said, "So do you think Jalen Green's better now, Mo?" And I'm like, no, he always had talent. I didn't say he wasn't talented. I just said he couldn't be your best player. And I was like, he's not Phoenix's best player. He had a great game, but he's still not their best player. Like I'm happy for Jalen Green that he looks like he found a home.
No, absolutely. I feel like we're going to be both in agreement too about the 2-7 matchup. Spurs Blazers. Just, I'm thinking sweep.
I'm thinking you're right. I'm thinking, look, like I said, I'm happy for the Blazers. And at the same time, the fact that they got to play the Spurs right away, I'm kind of sad for them. I think San Antonio is a buzzsaw. I think San Antonio makes short work of the Blazers.
Yeah, there's just too many like inconsistent shooters. Like you look at the Blazers, like team leaders in threes, and you're like, okay, let's see, Matisse Thybulle's at 39%. I don't know if that holds in the playoffs. And you just start going down the list where you're like, all right, non-shooter, non-shooter, non-shooter. So I think the Blazers have a bright future. I just don't think that bright future starts this year.
I don't either, but I'm happy for them because they overcame a lot to have the success that they did. And they do have they have some nice young players. Let's not sleep on what Klingon will be, what Shaden Sharp will be. What's the young man that's the 3-and-D guy who we both love?
Toonami Cameron?
Yes, love that kid. Like even Scoot actually had a productive season in a different role this season. So I think the Blazers are on the upswing, and they just have to make some little additions around the edges of their roster, and they have to make a decision too. Because it's a harsh reality. You have this young core that I mentioned, but then you've got Drew, who's 35. You got Dame, who I think Dame's 34, 35. Like you're not planning on starting, that backcourt, are you? Because I wouldn't understand that.
So, somebody commented, they're like, what if the Blazers just repel Dame down from the rafters like Sting and he's just ready for game one?
If that were true, that would be awesome, by the way. I'd love that. I love that kind of showmanship.
Favorite underdog in round one? Mo, do you have an underdog you're eyeing up? So the options, I guess, for lower seeds would be whoever wins Pistons versus Heat, or Pistons versus Magic or Hornets. Then it would be Raptors, Hawks versus Knicks. That'd be the Hawks, Sixers.
You know what? I'll give you an underdog that I'm my favorite underdog. It's the Hawks. I actually think Atlanta can give New York a series. And if New York doesn't play their A game, because Atlanta gets after it on both ends of the floor. They're not a great defensive team, but they are much improved. But where they get you at is they make you play their pace. And Jalen Johnson is a whole man. That's a whole man. And CJ McCollum, look, it's like he's had a sip of the fountain of youth. CJ's still crossing people over, finishing people up. Dyson Daniels is a terror at the point of attack defensively. A Kongwu can step away from the basket, shoot the three. Like Atlanta doesn't lack for talent. And then you got to look at the year that Nah had coming over from Minnesota. He's been amazing for the Hawks. The Knicks better be on their A game or they're going to get upset.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And of course, I feel like there's going to be a lot of eyes on Jalen Brunson. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Cat. Well, my eyes are on Mikal Bridges because I think that's the guy that needs to step up big time. for him. We obviously saw that cold stretch he just went through recently. So pretty much the Knicks better hope that doesn't all of a sudden show back up. So it's one of those things where there's going to be a lot of factors, but I feel like the X factor in that starting lineup will be what Mikal Bridges shows up this series.
I like that X factor. I think Mikal Bridges is a good call. He has struggled with his shooting second half of the season. And now you keep hearing these people, mostly Knicks fans, keep bringing up the fact that the Knicks, I think they traded away 4 number ones for him. Look, that's a lot that's a lot, by the way, for a star player, by the way. And Bridges is not a star. He's a really good player, but he's more, I don't want to use the word role player. Let's just say he's a strong starter. But if I'm throwing away 4 number 1 picks, I got to get back more than what the Knicks got back. Look, if they lose, and I know, will Bridges take some heat if he doesn't play well? Sure. But if the Knicks lose, the number 1 guy that's going to get killed no matter what, because it's written in stone, it's not Brunson, it's Karl-Anthony Towns.
Even when it's not his fault, it's always Karl-Anthony Towns.
Right. That's what I mean. He is low-hanging fruit. He could have a terrific game, and they lose by 1, and they'll mention there was a play where he didn't block out, and that's why they lost. Like, Karl-Anthony Towns to me is the Knicks' default whipping boy, and I think if they are upset, because for the Knicks, the goal, Brett, should be at a minimum we get back to the conference finals, right? That's at a minimum. Anything less than the conference finals, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say somebody's getting moved, and I don't think it's any one person, because I think Towns will be there. I think Bridges will be there. Hell, I'm not sure if they come up short that Mike Brown might get moved.
Hey, you know what? That's fair. The team I was looking at, because I looked at the Hawks, I'll go with a different answer. Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves on it for an upset over the Denver Nuggets. Now, granted, I'm still confident that the Nuggets pull it off, but it feels like that this Timberwolves team just seems to give the Nuggets problems every year. So I think that I think we're going to see that again. This is a team that can generate quite a bit of rim pressure between Gobert rolls, Jaden McDaniels getting downhill. And when your main rim protector is Jokic, that can be a problem. So it's going to be up to the point of attack defenders to keep these guys in front, because Anthony Edwards, it's not one of those things where you just go under the screen anymore. He's hitting those threes. So I think that I'm picking Denver to still win in 7, but I think if an upset's going to happen anywhere on this bracket, I'm eyeing up that series, because I don't know what it is, but Minnesota just seems to give them fits every time.
I'll simplify it for my pick. If Anthony Edwards is healthy, Minnesota's going to beat Denver. They're going to beat them again. Not 85%, but just all the way healthy, can do everything, not limited to anything, Minnesota's going to beat them. Minnesota owns the Denver Nuggets in the postseason. Owns them. And maybe it's because they played them so many times. They know they're playing stuff. It's one of those matchups that, for whatever reason, the matchup, it's a struggle for the Nuggets. I think that as much as people like to pick on our guy, Rudy Gobert does things to frustrate the Joker at times. Rudy Gobert impacts the game on both sides. And when Ant could be the best player in the series, it's why the series goes 6 or 7. Here's what I'll say. If this series goes 7 games, Minnesota's going to win again. If Denver wants to beat Minnesota, it needs to be a short series.
It feels like with Gobert, I feel like what helps him is he's sneaky switchable. He's not switchable to the extent of someone like Wemby, but for his size and muscular build, he can get out there and stay with guards for stretches. So I think that's kind of what helped, because normally when Gobert switches onto a guard, all of a sudden you look up, it's we kind of ran all these actions. Now we got to try to make something work with 5 on the shot clock, and at least for like a small, like 7-second stretch, Gobert can normally hang and at least get a good contestant.
He actually is decent in space at times. You and I talk about this, but what people tend to show is they show the highlights of where he gets crossed or staggered, and they go, "See, he can't play in space." I think he's underrated at playing in space. You're right. I think that for at least 4 or 5 seconds, he can stay out there in space. He's shown it. I also think that if Julius Randle is aggressive, that's going to go a long way. If Ant's got a sidekick in this series, because obviously Joker's got Murray, but if Randall shows up and Ant's healthy, yeah, I'm picking Minnesota. Like I said, if Anthony Edwards is fully healthy, I'm picking Minnesota. I just think they have the Nuggets number.
No, that's fair. So let's say, so you want me to write? I'm going to make a graphic of all of our picks right before the playoffs start. Most. So you want me to put you down for Minnesota?
Yeah, put me down.
All right, bet.
Hey, I make my picks and I stand by them. I look like a genius last night. If I were a betting person, you know how much money I could have made taking the Warriors? I would have made a fortune.
Hey, fair enough. We'll skip over to the East real quick. Do you have any faith in the Hornets or Magic beating the Pistons?
Slim and none. Because it's very similar. If Cade is fully recovered from the collapsed lung, they're gonna win. A team like the Hornets won't be able to beat the Pistons because the Hornets, a lot of times offensively, they're their own worst enemies. And the Pistons, even against really good offensive teams, they don't let you get into your sets. The Pistons start playing defense long before you get the ball up the court. They like to get into guys' chests and reroute them. I think they're going to overwhelm either team. I think the Pistons sweep whoever they play.
Hey, you know what'll work in the Hornets' favor, though? I know they'll probably put a Sore Thompson on LaMelo Ball. LaMelo sometimes, Mo, is a tough cover because I don't think LaMelo half the time knows that he's shooting it. Like, he takes the most bizarre shots that even sometimes he just catches the defender off there because they're like, wait, what the? You shot that?
No, look, I'm with you. He's got a really quirky game, and you can't see. You can't even anticipate when he's going to shoot. The only thing I can say to it is that is a strength. The only problem is you can't anticipate when he's going to go 2 for 15 from 3, or 0 for 15 from 3, because that's part of the LaMelo Ball experience as well. And another part of the LaMelo Ball experience is he don't play an ounce of defense, none, 0. And that's not good because he's not the only one in that starting lineup that's not good on defense. He's just the worst person on defense. So, look, they would have to be lights out offensively to win one game. I don't think Detroit's having that.
Yeah, that was quite the ending. Hey, that was quite the ending to that game, though, thanks to LaMelo. That foul shooting a 3 was I saw that. I'm like, dude, why are you even jumping into his landing? Why are you even jumping at him?
He made a critical turnover and panicked and made one of the dumbest fouls. And then he turned around and ended up being the hero because he made the layup.
Hey, like I said, that. Yeah, don't you love how that works? Like, you could watch this player commit all the stupidest mistakes, but if they hit that last shot, we'll act like they had this amazing game. Like, I don't know.
And see, I didn't do that. We were watching it, and we were all commenting in the chat live. And so all I said was, because it was a real human reaction, I was sitting there going, LaMelo's killing me. And then he makes the layup, and I go, I take back everything I said.
What do you think led to Knupple's struggles these past few weeks? I think with rookies, it's just a long season that they have to get used to. I think he's just got tired legs.
I think he's hit. It happens, especially with shooters. I think he hit the wall, and I think you're right. I think his legs are gone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, firsthand about the whole, you can do something stupid and make up for it a minute later. We saw it in the playoffs with Lakers versus Phoenix with Ron Artest. Commits a very stupid foul, and then 40 seconds later, he hits a putback layup for the win. And everyone's like, oh, Ron was so good. I'm like, Ron's the reason that Phoenix almost won the game too.
Right.
Like, don't forget
Right.
that.
Right. Facts. That's facts. That's true. Look, I'm so excited for the postseason. I really am. And maybe because we have so many young teams in the playoffs, it's kind of different. It feels different.
Hey, absolutely. Speaking of young teams, Mo, do you give the Sixers any chance to knock off the Celtics?
This is what I will say, because I've been saying this all year, and I want to be consistent. I told people that I thought the Sixers, if they were to get healthy before the season's ends, they'd be one of the scarier outs in the East. They're almost healthy. Obviously, Joel Embiid is gone again, but everybody else is back. I think the Sixers can be interesting. I don't think the Celtics will sweep them. It's just a question of will they get more than one game.
Yeah, I picked the Celtics in 5 on the ball. I you know what I don't understand about, by the way, about Embiid, where we got Skip Bayless coming on and going, well, my source tells me he's cleared to play, he's just refusing to. I'm like, shut up, Skip, don't spread rumors. You know, if Embiid could be out there in playoff time, he's going to be out there. Like,
Right.
You could say a lot about Embiid, but he fights through injuries every year. He's a fighter, so you know he'd be out there if he could.
He said his sources. You ain't got no sources, man.
His source is just like his source is probably just like Rashawn McCants knows a guy that.
Facts.
Saying,
I think they'll get a game. I don't know if they get 2, but I think they'll get a game at least.
Yeah, Max is going to drop 40 at least once to get him a win.
Yeah, and look, here's where the Sixers are dangerous. I expect Maxey to have a pretty good series, maybe a great series. The difference maker, and it's weird to say this because this guy's like a future Hall of Famer, is if Paul George looks like Paul George and can give you 20 or 25 or something like that to go along with Edgecombe, it becomes interesting. I think it becomes interesting. I still don't think they can beat Boston, but they can win. They can win. I think I'm giving them one game. So I think you're right to say Celtics in 5.
No, absolutely. The last 2 series, Mo, for the first round, we got Knicks, Hawks. We know you mentioned the Hawks potentially upsetting the Knicks earlier. You want to lock that in, or you want to pick the Knicks?
I think it's fun to be different. The conventional wisdom says the Knicks will win. They've been the better team. They're the veteran team. They're playoff tested. And yet, I think the Hawks come into these playoffs, Brett, with house money, right? Think about this. With before Trae Young got there, we weren't talking about them going to the playoffs. And when Trae Young left, and they decided to run with Jalen Johnson and build around him, they've been a completely different team altogether. I think they're a dangerous team. And I think this is definitely gonna be one of the series in the first round that it's a series. This will not be a sweep. This won't be a gentleman's sweep. I think this is at least a 6-game series.
No, I agree. I'm gonna say I'll stick with the Knicks. I just think the experience will kind of help them in the end, especially since I think it's gonna be a series.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna benefit the Knicks.
My instinct is to say stick with the Knicks, but you know what? I'm feeling cocky. Why not? I'm gonna go with the Hawks. Put my pick up. I'm taking the Hawks with the upset, because I think it's possible.
Fair, and I think this is actually going to be a series too, Mo. Raptors Cavs. I think this is an interesting series because they love that James Harden pick and roll. They love Donovan Mitchell pick and roll. The Raptors are long. They got a lot of hands to get into the passing lanes, and they got a long arms to contest shots. I don't think they're going to score well at all, but I don't think Cleveland's going to be able to score very easily against the Raptors.
I think the Raptors are one of those teams that they're like a dark horse because RJ Barrett can create his own shot off the dribble. Scotty Barnes can create his own shot off the dribble. Brandon Ingram can create his own shot. Quickly can create his own. Like they've got multiple guys that can create their own shot. They're long, they're athletic. The only thing that's missing from the Raptors, by the way, and an obvious reason why they have where they are is they have a lot of really good players. What they don't have is a franchise player. And I think because they don't have a franchise player, I think they make it a series, but I don't think they win.
Hey, that's fair. So I agree. I think we're both going to end up with Cleveland on that one. So, yeah, hey, you know what? There's our playoff predictions. I think, I'll end up making a graphic about it. It'll be a great time. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I am too.
I'm also looking forward to seeing who actually wins these coaching and all NBA awards that'll be coming up.
I'm excited for the All NBA awards. If I had a vote, I would give it to Coach Bickerstaff. But I completely, and I mean this, I completely understand anybody that would want to vote for Coach Mazzulla because of look what he did. He's had an amazing year. And I would argue that OKC's coach doesn't get enough love either.
My top 3 for Coach of the Year voting would be, if I had to vote, you can go Joe Mazzulla, and I think Joe Mazzulla will end up winning. But I personally love the job that Bickerstaff has done. So I'd probably go say who I think's been the best coaches here. Give me Bickerstaff, Mazzulla, and then for third, I'd probably put Charles Lee of the Hornets, because I think that team has absolutely overachieved. At the same time, if you want to switch out Charles Lee with Mitch Johnson of the Spurs, I get it. But there's just so many good coaching candidates, but it feels like this is a 2-coach race between, is it Bickerstaff or is it Mazzulla? Granted, I do think I saw that Perk voted for Mitch Johnson already, so.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He's such a simp. I like Mitch Johnson. I like Mitch Johnson a lot, but I feel like when you watch the Spurs play, like you're watching them develop, you're watching them grow. I feel like you're watching Mitch Johnson kind of grow as a coach, like because they're really young, but he's super young too, Brett. You know what I mean? Like, but you can see him getting. He reminds me a lot of Spoelstra when he first took the reins from the Heat. So I have a lot of confidence in Mitch Johnson, and look, he definitely worthy of consideration. But I'm with you. I think if Mazzulla wins, wouldn't shock me. Worthy, but I would pick Bickerstaff because I just think with or without Cade, those guys were ready to play. It came to play every night. Like Cade goes down, and you thought, well, hell, if they are under 500 go into the water, they might lose their. They just found a way to win games because they can still always hang their hats on their defense, their physicality, and they make you play to their pace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm looking forward to these playoffs. It's going to be a lot of time. And, before we get on here, Mo, I do love the fact that Miles Turner made sure to come on to a podcast with Brianna Store, and he confirmed that the Chicago story with Rivers was true, where he said, "Google me."
Oh, so he did say that.
It's funny because Rivers said Shams was the liar, and then Miles Turner on the podcast goes, "Oh yeah, he did say that." I'm like, come on, can somebody pick a side?
I guess Miles was like, "I don't owe you nothing since you've been fired," But
yeah,
I feel like Doc was ready to go. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like even when you guys brought him in, the way he talked, I felt like he just talked like a guy that had one foot out the door. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's just tired and worn down, but this is one of those things you can tell that Milwaukee, your Bucks will be Doc's last coaching stop. Like, Doc's not going to come back and end up coaching the Clippers again or going and being an assistant on the new Seattle Supersonics when they get there. I think Doc's done coaching.
He's just going to go to the Magic, Mo. He's going to start over.
Yeah, maybe
so Magic Celtics?
Maybe, yeah, look, maybe that. Look, you know what? Let me give Glenn credit where credit is due. I think you would appreciate this. for what it's worth, he was really good when he was in studio. You know what I mean? Like when he was like an analyst, it was actually really good as an analyst.
Yeah, look, I would not mind hearing him as an analyst because he's actually really good at that.
Right.
I just don't want to see him as a head coach again. But look, if I saw that tomorrow, like, yeah, he's going to be in the studio, I'd be like, yeah, cool, that's awesome. That's something he was really good at. I love that.
Agreed. Facts.
Believe me, I was saying, I know I hate on him long. I got nothing against Glenn Rivers, the person, though. I just didn't like Glenn Rivers being the basketball coach on my team.
You are perfectly justified. And look, I'm going to be consistent because throughout the playoffs and the offseason, you're going to have to endure this because you're a Bucks fan. Your buddy Shams is going to have so many rumors about Giannis said this or did that, or Giannis' brother said this, or what's the stuff they do now? Like, oh, we just found out that Giannis' brother stopped following the Bucks. You know what that means? Like that you're going to be full of all that crazy stuff. This is what I believe. I'm going to do just like I did coming into this year. I think when it's all said and done, Giannis is still going to be in the Bucks.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. That's for sure. Yeah, no, I was listening to Shams on his little thing where he's talking about like, well, if the Bucks focused on their inside turmoil as much as me, maybe they'd have it figure it out. Like, shut up, Shams. He came off as like such a loser. Like he just came off as a guy who was salty because like Rivers called him out. Like that's something I do got to respect him for, calling out Shams. But it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. Like, it's just focus on another team. He's just irritating at this point.
Shams has reported Giannis being traded, like the last 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The last 3 years, this man he's been all thing Bucks. He's gotten it wrong almost all the time. So whenever they go breaking, it's not breaking news. Giannis is still there. Like, he was always there. Like, I just feel like Shams needs to find another target to do these breaking news or who might get traded. Like, he's been working this Giannis angle for a long time, bro. Like, you got to let it go because you've just been wrong to be wrong once is one thing. To be wrong for 3 years in a row, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then of course, before I forget, Asia Wilson signed the biggest contract in WNBA history.
Congratulations. Congrats. Man, if Bam could shoot as good as his girl, he might score 100 points in a game.
I thought the contract setup was interesting, Mo, because like most contracts have a fixed number. Apparently hers is just she gets 20% of the cap. So the cap's going to keep going up. Apparently it's just set up so regardless of what happens, she's just going to get 20%. Like she'll get her $5 million, but pretty much they're just going to keep making sure she's getting those raises as the cap goes up.
I like that. And look, that's a great way to give flowers to the person who occupies the spot as the best player in the game. She is the best player in the WNBA right now and has been for years. She should get paid accordingly. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for the W. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to do some watch-alongs. We'll have to figure out some playoff watch-alongs. I would say we got a lot of playoff games this weekend, but we got WrestleMania this weekend, Mo.
I know. Here's the crazy thing, guys. Everybody in the chat, and everybody that's joining us live. Look, there's so much playoffs going on this weekend, but Brett and I, oh man, we got the big show. We got WrestleMania. We got a WrestleMania watch along. So I don't know how. I don't think we're gonna be able to squeeze in basketball this weekend. We're gonna be. Don't get me wrong. Are we gonna watch basketball? Absolutely. But it's gonna have to circle around WrestleMania. This weekend is about WrestleMania.
And of course, by the way, Mo, we just got breaking news. Nafisa Collier has signed a 1-year supermax to stay with the Minnesota Lynx. So Collier is not going anywhere.
Fee, congratulations. I love Fee.
I think we're going to see a lot of this, by the way. I see a lot of these ladies signing like these 1 to 2 year deals, and it makes sense with the way this is all set up. Because now you're just going to see the cap going up and up and up every year. So I think we're going to see just a lot more 1-2 year deals so they can just keep cashing in on these cap spikes.
I look good for the league, but good for the players to where they can find ways to get their grind on and get their money. So I'm happy for them.
No, absolutely. Hey, that being said, Mo, anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
No, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are as excited for the postseason as Brett and I are. And by the way, chat, do me a favor. If you can, put your picks into the chat so that we can have something to compare on when we come back next Thursday.
Yeah, definitely would love to hear your playoff picks. Our WrestleMania, I believe, starts at 3 Central. I'll have to double check, or it's like I'll just see if it's 3 Eastern or 3 Central. But I believe it's so. Yeah, we'll be on around 3 o'clock, and it's gonna be an awesome time. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna write up some fun WrestleMania trivia. I'm gonna get my face painted again like last year. So it's gonna be great. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Watching some baseball too here and there. Hey, fair enough.
There it is. I'm with you, partner.
Title prediction: Boston OKC. That would be fun, actually.
I hope you're right, Jory. I like that.
But that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good night, and we hope to see you this weekend for WrestleMania.